blessing. So what happened at the camp, right? I haven't lost my faith. And they insist to give it to us. And the pastor looks at us and he starts preaching to us, to the leaders. And he said, you know what you guys are doing right now? You're trying to deprive those people of their blessing. They want to be a blessing to you. And of course they will be blessed because they want to be a blessing to you. And you're trying to deprive them of the gift of being a blessing to you. So you're taking their blessing away. Wow. We've got to learn how to be blessed. Amen. You know, this morning I could have said, hey, I'm featured. I could have said to myself, okay? I'm telling myself now. You can take a nap. I'm telling myself, I could have said this morning, you know, Bernard, I wouldn't even have to use Reverend Bernard. You know, Bernard, you're on the front page of that Christian magazine. You know, you should have bragged about it. Why don't you just keep it quiet? Why don't you just don't tell me? Well, if I do that, I'm going to deprive you of the blessing to know that God blesses you. I'm going to deprive you from the blessing of just being blessed because one of us is blessed. When one of us is blessed, who is blessed? All are blessed. And you're on my website anyway. Even if you don't see your picture, some are, their picture is there. Good one. I'll make good pictures. And that's what you want to do. That's one of the principles, the guidelines on the websites. I could have done that. And that would have looked, seemed, appeared like humility. Maybe it would have been a little bit. But humility is not throwing yourself in the dust. Humility is knowing where you're at. Be thankful to God for where you're at. Knowing where you're not. And be praying that God will take you there. That's humility. Of course, you have to be mature to say that. Hey, if I'm not mature now, when am I going to be mature? Right? So we were going to read, right? See, I haven't lost it. Exodus. The book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse 1. Now, Moses, chapter 3, Exodus is the second book of the Bible. Genesis, Exodus. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it didn't burn up. So Moses thought, hey, that's good. Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight. Why the bush does not burn up? When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called him from within the bush, Moses, Moses! And Moses said, here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take out your sandals, for the place where you're standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Asa, the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look to God. The Lord said, and this is my message, the Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned you glad? God says, I am concerned about their suffering. I want to talk about suffering. So I have come down. Wow. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land into a good and spacious land. A land flowing with milk and honey. The home of the Canaanite, Hittites, Amorite, Perizzite, Hittites, Jebusites. And now, and this is the Psalm 1, and now the cry of the Israelites has reached me. And I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. I may shock you with my next sentence. What in the world were the Israelites still doing in the land of Goshen in Egypt? Man, what in the world were they doing there? Their father, the father of the 12 tribes, the 12 tribes that were still in Goshen, almost 400 years after first coming to Goshen, but just first coming for survival. There was a famine in Canaan. You remember the story, you've read the book. They had gone to Egypt because Joseph was the prime minister of Egypt. Their lives had been spared. They had been given the best land for their cattle in Goshen. But 400 years later, for a people who had been called to take over the land of Canaan, to settle there, to divide it into 12 territories that they were supposed to occupy, what were they still doing in Egypt? Tell me, somebody. Because sometimes we take our lives and their lives and we look at them from the wrong end of the binocular, you know? You know what happens? If you look on the right end, you can focus, right? And you can see things that are far away real clear. You can even see things that are here. But if you turn them around, and I used to do that when I was a kid, I thought it was cool, that was fun. I grabbed my grandfather's binoculars and I turned them around. And if I was doing that with the pastor this morning, he would look like he is on what street is there? 31st. He's right here. But I can look at him as if he was on 31st. And he would just look like little Mr. Gillis. I mean, can you imagine that? And that's what the Israelites had done. They had forgotten, and listen to this. This is what the Lord showed me this week. This is a fresh message. It's not something... I studied that book a long time ago, Exodus, and got a few ideas, but the message itself is a fresh message. They had forgotten the meaning of their lives, the mission of their life. They had forgotten their destiny. Here they were, poor me, poor me. The new Pharaoh is persecuting us. He's passed the law that we have to kill any boy that is born in our family. And that's terrible. That law was terrible. That new king was awful. But God is still sovereign. Yes. Even when the Israelites were being beaten up and building the big monuments of Egypt, God was still on the throne. Amen. God knew what was going on. God was sticking to the plan. See, the problem is that God looks through the right side of the binocular, and many times we look through the wrong side. Yes. Why am I in pain? Why is my life terrible? Life is so difficult. I go from sickness to depression to difficulty to debts to financial problems. I mean, the Hebrew story is our story. And what happens in those moments is that we focus so much on our problem that we forget about the sovereignty of God. We forget about His plans for our life.